offer your advice to who we're calling elitist Ellie.
She DM'd us saying, my best friend is upset that I don't want to hang out with our friend group anymore. Over the last few months, I've been working on my mental health, and part of that was me cutting out people in my life that drag me down, whether it's because of their negative attitudes, lack of boundaries, or immaturity. I've talked to my best friend about this, and she called me an elitist for wanting to cut out some of our friend group. She is one of my friendships from childhood, and I don't want to lose it. How can I get her to understand that I'm doing this for my mental health?
Well, first of all, Ellie, I think she understands why you're doing it. I don't think she cares, though. And I don't think that you should care that she still wants to be friends with those people who are negatively affecting your mental health. Hang out with your best friend one-on-one, I guess, if you want to. But I think probably the more likely thing, because there's going to be parties, there's going to be friend group get-togethers, and I don't think you can ask your friend to cut the same people out of her life, out of the friend group that you're asking to cut out of your life. So maybe she's not actually your best friend, or maybe what you should do is reevaluate and maybe take a look in the mirror to see why you're allowing these select group of people, these few friends in the group, to be so draining to you. Because to me, that's a you problem. That's not a them problem.
No, I think that it is a them problem. I think, we're all different in what we're going to allow in our life. Like, part of my healing journey was learning that boundaries aren't you controlling other people, but it's you saying this is what, like, the treatment I'm willing to tolerate. So if you are seeing from these people, I'm not willing to tolerate this kind of treatment anymore, be done with that group of friends. And if your best friend is really your friend, she'll understand. She'll still want to hang out with you one-on-one. She'll be like, cool, you don't want to come to the get-together? That's fine. Let's go grab coffee. If she doesn't, too bad, so sad. Like, sometimes whenever you're working on yourself and you're shining a brighter light, that's going to shine a light on stuff that other people do not want to deal with. And you're going to bring that out. You're going to bring out their insecurities. So they're not going to want to hang out with you anymore. And that's okay. That says nothing bad about you.
My point of view kind of comes from somebody who's never, had a friend breakup before. That's not to say that I'm still friends with every single person that I've ever been friends with in my life, but there was no falling out. There was no conscious decision. I'm done talking to this person. So I'm sort of unexperienced in the whole process of removing people who drain your mental health or whatever Ellie said there. So this isn't something that's common for me. 601-995-1017 if you have advice, but it is common for you, Allison. You've said it before.
Oh yeah, I had a break up with my middle school best friend, and it was hard, but it was just obvious that we weren't going on the same path. And yes, it has been hard. Sometimes I look and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have the same amount of friends as everyone else, but I think I'm happier for it.
If you've got thoughts on what elitist Ellie should do, call or text us 601-995-1017. She's made the decision in her journey that she needs to cut some of the people in her friend group out of her life. The problem is there's one person in that friend group who's been her best friend since childhood and doesn't want to cut her out of her life, but the best friend thinks it's ridiculous that, Ellie wants to cut these people out of her life because the best friend doesn't see them as negative people.
Yeah.
601-995-1017. Izzy texted us and said, if your closest friend is calling you an elitist for dropping a select group of people from the friend group, maybe you should reflect on why they're viewing you that way. And if you're dropping them from a genuine place of protecting your peace or a place of internal bias. Elitist is just an interesting word choice. What's that make you think, Allison?
I feel like she's getting called out for actually working on herself, but that's because that's what my experience has been. I've lost relationships the more and more work I've done, the more therapy I've gone to and stuff like that. I tend to lose relationships because people no longer align with you. They don't vibe with you anymore, and that's why I totally agree with Sheree, who says a best friend has your back no matter what, so maybe she should reevaluate everyone, including her best friend. Maybe the best friend needs to go.
And what I would say to Sheree is that's not a one-way street, though. If Ellie's best friend is feeling, maybe Ellie's best friend is feeling a little bit betrayed because Ellie's best friend, or because Ellie is saying, oh, I don't want to hang out with you if so-and-so is going to be there. I want you to not be friends with that person either.
I see what I ultimately feel like it probably comes down to is I feel like her best friend feels like, well, these are my friends, and if you think you're too good for them, there's an insecurity that maybe you're too good for me. And that's what Ellie is saying isn't true, but she's like, but I can't be around people who every time I go, all they're going to do is complain and be negative or ask me to do things that I'm not comfortable doing or whatever it is. I got to protect my peace, but I want you in my life.
Sabrina says, listen, if she's got her reasons, then she has her reasons to not want to be around those people. Her best friend needs to support her and hang out with her away from them. Saying her friend, especially her best friend, that she's ridiculous for feeling this way is crazy. Feelings are not ridiculous.
Exactly. And a real friend would show up and support that.
I don't know. I mean, I've had feelings before and then went back and thought about them. And I was like, you know what? It was ridiculous that I was feeling that way. I think feelings can be ridiculous.
Not if it's after the result of you saying, hey, I'm making a conscious decision to be better, to show up better, to make my life better. And sometimes that's going to require sacrifices like the people around you. You are who you surround yourself with.